Şimdi gideceğimiz nokta aslında belirlemiştik. Şöyle alttan mecbur gideceğiz. Orada 2 tane ordu var. Bunlar bizim ordu büyük ihtimalle. Sivri Kule'ye tekrar dönelim. Tamir önemli değil. Burası Han. Han'a dönmeye gerek yok diye düşünüyorum. Tekrar yolumuz oraya düşer.
A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long, unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
Kısa boylu, şişman.
Pretty. Very pretty.
Aha.
You were expecting a little more information.
Sakalları var.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like...
Tüy.
Like fluff.
Fluff.
Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larders are full and that there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes.
It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle.
Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
Orası doğrudur. Yolumuza devam edelim. Küçük bir kamp yaptık. Ya da yapmadık, bilemedim. Buradaki patika bilinmiyor. Akçayır. Soru işaretine yönelebiliriz. Akçayır'a gelebiliriz. Soru işaretine yöneleceğim. Ama Akçayır üzerinden gidersem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Böyle 2. 1, 2, 3 aslında. Fazla uzayacak. Neyse, şu Akçayır'ı merak ettim. Oraya bir bakalım. Ne oldu? Bu kadar mıydı? İçeride bir şey yok mu? Abi aldatıldık. Burası neresiymiş? Hiçbir şey çıkmadı buralardan. Gerçekten inanılmaz. Soru işaretine gidelim.
You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively scene. The sound of metal on metal from the village smithy that would normally be heard above everything else at this time of day. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear dwarves, could I interest you in helping me in my workshop for a day?
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
You will, of course, be royally rewarded for your work. I can offer you 100 gold pieces.
Ne için 100 altın parçası? Okumadım alt yazıyı. Bana görev mi veriyor? Koluna ne oldu? Pekala. Şimdi önce bir koluna ne olduğunu soralım. İlla ki kabul etmeme çıkar.
It will heal, fortunately, but I won't be able to wield my hammer for a while.
You must have quite a backlog of work.
You nod sympathetically. You always felt bad if you were ill or couldn't work in the forge for some reason or other.
Loads, but if what I hear about the metalworking skills of the dwarves is true, it will be easy for you to manage it in a day.
Daha çok ödeme yaparsa neden olmasın?
But compared to human standards, I'm a master smith, so my services will cost
200 altın evet derim.
The smith gulps.
More? How much?
2 katı.
double. My services should be worth that.
Anger and indignation are written across the man's face.
That's much too much. I could have the smith in the neighbouring village do my work.
O zaman güle güle. Sana ayıracak vaktim yok.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Hoşça kal.
You say goodbye and leave. After only a few steps, the resigned voice of the smith
İşte
calls
bu.
you back.
Git bak bakayım yan köydeki
all right.
200'ü kabul ediyor mu? 100 altını kabul
A little
ediyor mu?
later, you are standing in the
Oo,
workshop,
çift
examining the smith's
başarım
inferior
kazandım.
tools, while he fires
Bargain
up the
like a
forge
boss,
and prepares
skilled
everything for
bargain.
the job as well as he
Bir
can
nevi
with
dolandırıcılık.
just one good arm. You weren't able
Biz
to
buna
persuade the
ticaret
twins to help
diyoruz.
you. As warriors,
Oyun
they'd
buna
rather go hunting,
başarım
Tungdil'i
diyor.
declared. But you think it's more probable that you'll find them drinking beer. But you don't care. You're excited about being able to smith again after such a long time.
Doğru
Hours
neredeyse 40
later,
gündür
you have forgotten
yollardayız.
everything around you. The heat of the forge, the sweat on your warm skin, the play of the flames. You're in your element and work as if in a trance. The smith left the workshop ages ago with a satisfied grin on his face.
Wait, I'm talking to you.
You look up in surprise. Everything but the beating of the hammer had ceased to exist, and you didn't notice that someone
Kim bu
has come
acaba?
in.
Can you do it?
You immediately dislike the middle-aged man. He sounds you out so doggedly with his light grey eyes that it feels as though he wants to look right through you and into your deepest thoughts. The man points to two horses.
Those two in 1 hour.
Ne diyor ya, anlamadım. Bu atların
With
burada
the
ne işi
forge
var?
hammer in your hand, you play dumb. You blink and look back and forth between the horses and the man.
What's the deal with the horses?
You expect the man to fly off the handle, but you feel even more uneasy when he asks you quietly and very slowly to please re-shoe the two horses.
Niye oynanıyorum ki? Takayım
These two
yani.
need shoeing? No problem.
The man doesn't look convinced, but you get to work with confidence. Two more armed men are standing next to the horses, sizing you up.
So, you're mercenaries, I take it.
You're only trying to engage in conversation, but the man looks at you incredulously, as if he
Cüce
didn't
düşmanıyla
expect
karşılaştık
dwarves to be
anlaşılan.
able to talk.
Something like that.
Got lots of work? Oh, do you know anything about the armies of orcs from the south?
We can't complain.
The man's tone makes it clear that the conversation has ended here. You carry out the work in
İyi ya,
silence.
ekstra altın
As the
kazandık. Hayır
leader of the
demem.
mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he's trying to
Bakılıyormuş gibi.
transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word.
Ha. Lan niye takip ettiriyor acaba?
The men
diyeyim?
join a larger group of horsemen, more than a dozen,
Şurası işte.
outside the village. You stay hidden and listen.
Ha, dinleyelim.
Not here in the village. Go. Search the road between here and Clintal again.
The other mercenaries nod and the group rides off. You can't make head nor tail of what's going on here,
Gizli bir şey
but you
keşfettik.
don't like it. You tell the twins about your encounter, and they decide to be especially vigilant over the next days. You spend the
İyi,
night in the smith's
dinlenmiş de
house
olduk. Bedava
and
yemek de
move on
yedik.
the next morning.
Çok güzel. Bayağı iyi altın kastık. Alışveriş yapabiliriz. Şu cüce tüccar. Gidelim bakalım cüce tüccara. Bayağı bir yolumuzu uzattık ama buradan böyle dümdüz şu kule uğrarız. Kaleye. Savunma kulesine artık, yani neyse. Sonra da hedef noktasına ilerleriz.
In the early evening, you make an unusual discovery on the side of the road. A colourful trader's wagon has been carelessly abandoned, with not a soul in sight.
I don't like the look of this one bit, Boindil. You take a look around there, I'll stay on this side. Tungdil, you check the surrounding area and be
içerideyiz, tamam.
careful.
Çevrene bak, vagonu incele. Ne diyor? Sen oraya bir bak, ben bu taraftayım. Tank değil, sen etrafı kontrol ettik ve dikkatli ol. Yerdeki izleri
You
arayalım
can see a
önce.
lot of tracks in the mud around the wagon. Hoof prints and footprints from humans in heavy boots. At least half a dozen long ones must have approached the wagon from the woods
Baskın
on both
yapmışlar.
sides.
Malı indirmek için. Kaçınılmaz son. Vagonu
The wagon
inceleyelim.
itself isn't damaged, nor is the drawbar. But the belts and leashes that normally hold the draft animals have been cut clean through.
Çevreye
You
bakalım.
scan the road and the woods on both sides. Apart from the twins who are fighting their way through the undergrowth within earshot, you can't hear or see anyone.
Kim gelmişse
The
temiz
dwindling
gelip almış
daylight
çıkmış
provides
alacağı
little
şeyi.
light inside the wagon. It smells of leather, spices, and candles. And there's another smell in the air, which you can't quite place. It reminds you of your forge in Lot Yonan's vaults, but different. It is messy, but no more so than you would expect from a single dwarf. The bed is rumpled, and there are tools and leftover materials piled up on the little workbench. There are several cupboards hanging on the right-hand wall. At the end of the wagon, there's a large wardrobe, and next to the door on the left is a heavy wooden chest with rusty metal hinges.
Önce bir
As you try
sandıkla
to lift the
başlayalım.
lid of the chest, you realize that the lock has been broken out of the wood. You open the lid and look inside. Amongst clothes
İyi.
and some empty boxes,
Alabiliyor muyuz?
you find a loot case and a beautiful loot of the kind that humans build, as well as a bag of bread and cured meat.
Bence odu
You
alalım.
take the loot. You can't play, but an instrument like this
Ha,
is
doğru,
worth good
satmak için de
gold.
olur. Mantıklı. Yiyeceği de
You
al.
take the bread and the cured meat. The extra provisions should keep you going for a few days.
3 kişilik boğaz var.
The
Duvardaki
smaller
dolaplar.
cupboards are piled high with a multitude of tins and boxes, all filled with odds and ends that
El
the
atabiliyor
trader
muyuz bir
offered
iki
for sale
tanesine?
to customers on his trips. Nothing of real interest.
Ha, yok,
You reach for the knob
atamıyormuşuz.
of the wardrobe and then stop. The rug in front of the wardrobe squelches as you step on it, as if you had stepped in a puddle. You try to work out what has
Cüce
set the
fırladı
rug,
kesin.
when suddenly
Cüce
the door
çiçeği
of the
çekermiş.
wardrobe springs open and something bounces into you. You take a step back, and the realization of what hit you makes you take two more. Lying on the floor in front of you,
Adi. Başsız mı?
headless.
Evet.
His head has been cut clean from his neck. The dwarf is wearing clothes that look more like human robes and bears no coat of arms that would identify his kingdom. You didn't know him.
Niye peki
But no one
kapatmış?
deserves to
Kan
die
yok
like
etrafta,
this.
hiçbir şey yok. Cesedi
His head
incele.
has been cut off cleanly, probably with a sharp blade. A quick glance in the wardrobe confirms what you already suspect.
Kelle avcılarına kurban
The
gitmiş.
dwarf's head is nowhere to be seen.
Yol üstünde iki soru işareti var.
You give a short, sharp whistle, and the twins come running at the double. You tell them what you found.
A group of horsemen with heavy boots has been here. And I found Mort in the wagon. Beheaded. I have a hunch that the mercenaries from Fallow Rock have something to do with this.
Wretched dwarf killers!
You can tell that Boindil wants revenge and can understand his feelings well. You wrap the body in linen, dig a hole in the woods, and place the body in it. You lay a couple of his tools and other personal belongings you found in the wagon next to him. You wish there was more you could do for him.
Peki intikama
You
gideceğiz
continue
mi?
on your journey in
Öyle bir
gloomy
seçeneğimiz var
spirits.
mı? Yok. Yol üstünde ekstra bilgi alacağız. Ut nerede? Ud'u bulamadım. Neyse, önemli değil. Şöyle bir minik ESC yapalım. Şunu kapatalım. Devam edelim diğer soru işaretine doğru. Aslında şuradaki köye de gidebilir miyim? Yok ki bir şey. İsim çıkmadı. İsim çıksa çıkmıyor. Bu Clintal. Yolda bir soru
You
işareti.
come across an
Ha,
orchard next to a farmstead and surrounded by several fields of wheat. You don't see anyone working in the fields, but there's a young man lying under an apple tree. He has his legs crossed and a straw hat is covering his face.
soralım.
Excuse me, but we're looking for a group of mercenaries. Have they passed by here?
The young man
Geçmişlerdir
is
büyük ihtimalle.
startled. He must have nodded off. He looks around anxiously. When he sees you, the fear disappears from his face and is replaced by curiosity. It seems to you that
Ne
the
demek
man
ya
is
o?
sizing you up.
And if I answer,
Ya,
what's in it
bedavaca.
for me?
30 altın, anladım.
If you can't help us, we'd be happy to ask the owner of the farmstead. We'll just tell him that the man sleeping in the shade of
Bedavaya
the
hizmet.
orchard sent us. What do you think?
Ne
The
dersin?
man seems to size you up, and then a crooked smile spreads across his face.
All right, you caught me. The people rode northwest. But please don't tell Father Mullen.
There's
Peder
no
Mullen
reason
kim
for
bilmiyorum
that.
ki.
You told the truth. So, northwest, you say?
You continue on your journey, while the lazy laborer sinks
Hadi
back
gidelim.
into the grass.
Daha önümüzde kapışacak çok kişi var. Bak burada bir kahramanlar ordusu var. Ha, bu benim, pardon. Kendimi bir an arkadaki santraç taşlarından biri sandım ya. Klintal'a git.
The first thing you notice as you enter the village of Clintal is how quiet it is. There is hardly a soul in the streets, and the few people you do see immediately disappear into their houses as you get closer. Boindil draws his axes, and Boendal his raven's beak.
Something's not
Boindal.
quite right here. Be alert.
Olur. Köye devam
You
et.
walk on until you reach the village square. Without a word, men enter the square from the
Savaş
left
var.
and the
Güzel.
right.
Çiftçi
cutting off
bunlar.
your
Şey,
way.
köy insanı ya.
You recognize the leader of the
Tanımadılar
group of
bizi.
mercenaries, looking you over with
Ah.
a satisfied expression. Standing next to him is a frail man with greying hair, who doesn't seem able to cope with the situation.
Bakalım
He
olaysız
tries
kurtulabilecek
several
miyiz
times to
bunlardan?
say something, but can't find the right
Yoksa bir
words.
kapışma mı söz konusu? Ne oldu? Tıpkı tüccarı öldürdüğün gibi bizi de mi? Önce bir ne olduğunu soralım. Direkt tepki yapmayalım. Sayıları bizden fazladır.
Before you have the chance to say anything, the leader of the men calls loudly so that they can all hear.
That's them. They're the ones who murdered the poor travelling trader Mort.
Murderers, come here, dwarf killer!
Are you denying your terrible deed? You were seen murdering poor old Mort, one of your kind in cold blood.
The old man points unnecessarily to the leader of the mercenaries.
Diğer adam gereksiz yere paralı askerlerin liderini işaret ediyor. Burada bize laf sokuyor, sonra üçüncüsü daha uzun.
So apparently you saw us committing murder, but you didn't intervene? And then you overtook us and only set a trap for us now and here, several days' journey from the place where it happened. Your story doesn't seem to make much sense.
We knew that the good people of Clintal would stand by us in confronting you. Mort was well known and respected around here.
But how did you know that we would come to Clintal of all places? If you were really tracking us, that wouldn't have been possible. But if you, on the other hand, were the ones being tracked, then it would have been easy for you to steer us into this trap.
Harbiden tuzağa
He does
çekildim
have
ha.
a point, Medarin. Why did you?
The village elder stops mid-sentence as the leader of the mercenaries draws his sword. The village elder turns from the
İyi, köy
mercenary
ağasını
to
yanımıza
look at
aldık.
you, and then gives his men a
Kapışmaya gerek
signal
yok.
to
Kaybetme
withdraw.
ihtimalimiz yüksek. İçeri girdik ama yine de. Her türlü bir savaş olacak. Ama köylülerle değil. Paralı askerlerle.
Watch out for the archers.
Canlarımız full mü? Full. Şimdi size birkaç yenilik versek. Mesela bunları birer tut vereyim ama yok. Savaş başlasın ya.
On my way.
Paralı askerleri öldür.
Fracas!
Saldıracak mı bizimkiler?
What now? Huzzah!
Lan. Yondan.
Oh, what bad luck for you!
O bizim adam mıymış?
With pleasure.
I need help over here, quickly! Kill!
Anada bizimkine de vurduk ha. Can bas.
Understood. Please wait a moment. At once. I can't do that yet. On my way.
Tamam, bu burada dinlensin. Vur şuna. Lan bu bana saldırıyor. Kafasını yıkamışlar bunu. Gerizekalı ya. Harbi gerizekalı. Dinlenin burada. Ne voz. Dinlen. Can bas. Var mı böyle bir şey ya? Kendi adamın bana saldırıyor. Fulledi mi? Diğer ikisi fullendi. Gel Tungdil. Pot bastı büyük ihtimalle. Ha, üçünü bir kontrol edin. Okçular nerede?
Wait a moment. And what now? What is it? Oh, what bad luck for you.
Üçünü bir almak hoş olmadı. Gel gel gel. Nasıl kaybettim orada? Üçünü bir kontrol etmeyecektim ya. Çok kötü oldu. Nereden geldi buraya ya? Oğlum. Ha, gel şuraya, bas canını. Oha. Evin içinden vuruyor. Bunlar bizim köylüler mi? Bizimkiler orada öldü. Biraz bekleyeceğiz. Bekleyerek oynayacağız. Sakin kalacağız. Çift kılıç dalma yeteneğiyle almaya çalışacağım. Bu zıplama. Bu çift kılıç. Boşa gitti. Direkt kullandı. Neyse, birini geri aldı. Gel. Gel buraya. Gel, desteği köylülerden alacağız. Vur abi, daha fazla vur. Vur vur vur vur. Kaybetme köylüyü. Vuramadık mı? Köylü dışında herkesi düşman dışında herkesi kesmem. Kendi kendine yetenekler dönüyor. Tam kaç kişi kaldı? 6. Onlar da yukarıdakiler zaten. Tam bunu temiz kestim. Gel buraya gel. Burası niye böyle oldu acaba? Ha, kendi açısından kaynaklı. Gel buraya. Bunu aldık. Bununla rahat alacağız. Dön buna. Shift up. Güzel. Üçünü birden kontrol etmek büyük yanlış olur bu oyunda. Ayrı ayrı. Sadece yeteneklerini kullanmak için deneyeceğiz. Yoksa yatıyor bunlar. Allah'tan en sağlamı kaldı. Çift kılıçla bitirdik işlerini.
but Boindil is still in the frenzy of battle. You and Boendal have to physically restrain him until he comes to his senses. Otherwise, you'd have stormed the houses to find more adversaries. You walk up to the body of the mercenaries' leader and search his pockets. You soon find something. A letter.
An anonymous client seeks dwarf skulls cleanly cut, shorn, and put into jars with honey. 1,000 gold coins will be paid for each skull. Khan, Bounty Hunters Guild Master.
Sıradaki hedefimiz kan anlaşılan ha.
Bounty hunters. Hunting for dwarves. Despicable.
Kesinlikle iğrenç. Justice. Barış mı? Köylülere mektubu göster.
You hold the letter aloft so that everyone can see it.
Look, citizens of Clintel, proof that these men are the killers. They are bounty hunters hunting for dwarves.
The village elder comes out of one of the houses, flanked by other villagers. You ignore their weapons, as well as their sinister expressions, and hand over the letter.
It would seem you are telling the truth. We have been deceived and raised our weapons against the innocent.
The man's face is full of grief and pain.
And we have been made to pay. You have killed men who were close to us.
Daha fazlası varsa onları da öldürmeye hazırım şu anda.
We must bury them.
You manage to revenge Mort's death, but it doesn't feel like a victory. Too much blood has been spilt.
İyi, Boindil güzel tecrübe kastı. Bunlar kasamadı. Al. Çok bir şey yok ama altın iyidir. Bakalım bu gidişat. Öğrendiğimiz ödül avcıları, lideri nerede? Nerede saklanıyor? Bir köyü yanımıza çektik. Artık bu köyle barış halindeyiz. Clintel köyüyle. Ama o ödül avcılarıyla işimiz bitmeyecek. Bu bir gerçek. Bakalım diğer bölümlerde neler yaşanacak.